Okay, so today I'm reviewing another propaganda paper. So once again, I think it's a new trend in the United States. The new trend is that scholars are now using scientific papers to basically push for political propaganda. This kind of paper, I mean, it tries to mimic an academic paper, but it's it's a disgrace to academic honesty. So the paper title is Cremation-based estimates suggest a significant under and delayed reporting of COVID-19 epidemic data in Wuhan and China. The contact author is He Mai. Okay, so this guy from actually a very reputable university. But I guess like if Harvard researchers can like produce garbage paper like for relatively worse university, it's not surprised that we also have people writing garbage. This is not like just a garbage. This is absolutely disgrace to academic honesty, this integrity, and this is it's just like horrible throughout. Okay, again, I mean, this guy pretends to write an academic paper, so I'm going to treat it as an academic paper, and I'm going to just review it as if I'm reviewing other academic papers. Okay. So the key of this paper once again is very short. So what happens is that in summary, this paper actually go over a lot of internet blogs and also a lot of websites, and they collect a few anonymous sort of like anonymous tips, and based on the tips they create a model and predict that actually in China there are like way more death and way more infections. So that's the main story. So basically they created a math model, and the input of the model are information they get from blogs and from basically a few websites citing anonymous source. Okay, so the main input of their model, just really meaningless to talk about the model because the model is like a first year undergraduate level model. Okay, it's like like seriously like rudimentary first year undergraduate level, and uh, and that is not a diss. Sometimes a simple model can be very useful, uh, but anyway, the input of this model is actually garbage. Let's take a look at the main input of this model. The main number, the most important number used in this paper is this part. Okay, so this part. So basically it says that normally the crematories in Wuhan, they operate for 4 hours per day. And because before the outbreak, cremation mainly happened in the morning according to Chinese rituals. Actually, I'm not aware of this, so I Googled, and it seems that actually I do find a few sources, a few websites mentioning this ritual, that is, you should burn the body before basically noon. So I'll give it to this author. Okay, so that's probably how they got these 4 hours per day. And then after the lockdown, they were observed to be operating at basically 24 hours daily. So that's an increase of 6 times. That's an increase of 6 times. And then they look at the base number of death in Wuhan. So the death rate of Wuhan is like this in normal time, and then they are using a 9 million as the population of Wuhan. That's the official data from government. That's probably only counting the sort of like the proper Wuhan, excluding the surrounding areas. But anyway, that's fine. So they came up with this number that is on a normal day before the pandemic, there are 136 deaths per day. Okay, so I would like to credit the author. They are not actually admitting like actually people also die for other causes during COVID period. So a lot of other like whatever comments I see, they basically ignore this. They refuse to acknowledge that people also die for other reasons. So I appreciate that the author actually referenced this. So the author basically says that, okay, on a normal day, 136 deaths, and now we are increasing the load by 6 times, which means that every day there are 5 times extra. 5 times extra times 136, 680 extra deaths per day. So that extra death wouldn't be COVID-19 death. Okay, so that's the main input of the model. This is sort of like this is the number that results in a huge output. That would be huge number of death and huge number of infection in China, suggested by the author. Okay, so now let's see how they got this number. So basically I explained how they calculate this number, right? So, but then I'll treat this as true. And what about this part? So can we confirm that the funeral house are actually working 24 hours a day, per day? And actually, I think that is also true. I also believe that because there are so many reports on like a funeral house working around the clock, and also basically there are funeral house workers sending to Wuhan from nearby areas because there are not enough basically resource to handle all the bodies. Okay, so I believe in this number. I also believe in this number, but then if we go from here to here and then we say we are increasing the number of deaths by 6 times, that is actually stupid. That is fucking stupid. Okay, so now before I mention why this is stupid, let's go over the source. Citation 6 all the way to 12. That would be the source for this paragraph. Basically, how they got this number 680. All right, so let me just go over these citations. So I'm just pulling out the citation 6 all the way to 12. First of all, let's go over the okay, citation 6. Citation 6, actually this click is no longer valid, and I actually tried to use the Wayback Machine to try to find the cache of this page, and I still couldn't find any like a record of this page. So unfortunately, I don't have access to this one, the first one. Okay, so maybe my comment to the author is that try to like modify this reference, either include some kind of like snapshot somewhere, or anyway, there's no way for the reader to access your reference. Okay, very sloppy. Now, but then that's minor issue. It's all right. And then 7, that's the Genius article. This one. Okay, so what is Genius? So it's kind of already problematic or frowned upon when you cite like blogs, websites in an academic paper. But I guess that's all right. Let's just say let's just take a look at what the content of this news piece is. By the way, I think G News is like operated by a billionaire who escaped from China, and he's like super rich, and every day he basically talks about all the anti-China stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I never really paid too much attention to this person. But anyway, I generally do not want to just like mention, for example, like this source is anti-China, therefore it's not true. No. I don't want to do that, because if I do this kind of thing, then I'm as sort of like a bad as the anti-China guys in a way. So I always focus on the message instead of the messenger. Okay, so now let's take a look at the message. So the message basically here, they basically talk about the ordinary daily capacity in Wuhan. That is, Wuhan can handle 86 bodies per day. That's the normal number. There's no citation. I cannot verify this. But then it says that, okay, during the pandemic, the author of this blog assumes that they can increase the capacity by 50%, and therefore the capacity become 135. And finally, it says that every day, this number I'm sorry. The daily capacity is 135. And then if they go by 50% extra, then that will be 200, and the difference is 68. So basically, this blog actually suggests that every day, all the funeral houses in Wuhan can actually handle 68 more bodies. Okay, so the number is 68. 68. Take a look at the paper. I searched for it. There's no 68 mentioned anywhere. All right. So this is already pretty, how to say, dishonest to be very least. You are citing the source, and then you are using this source to suggest that there are 680 extra deaths per day. If you are citing this source, and the source is actually given a number that's 10%, should you actually like discuss it? For example, like why you believe 68 is not a valid number? So why there's no mentioning of that? Sloppy, dishonest? I don't know. Okay, but overall, I can say for sure this is just low quality. Okay, bad attitude. All right, so that's the first source. It's given a different number, and then the author basically ignored it. And now let's take a look at the next citation. Okay, National Review. Wuhan residents dismiss official coronavirus death toll. Okay, let's take a look at the content once again. By the way, National Review, they're actually pretty low. I mean, in terms of quality. They have I've read one article on COVID-19, and they are citing a paragraph from an academic journal from Lancet, and then they actually modify the quote in order to change the message. So the quote actually says that the first death in Wuhan is in early January, but then they modify the quote. So basically they put things in double quote, but then they change the wording so that it somehow shows that the first death is actually early December. So that is, and then they use that to basically convey the point that the China government is hiding things. So this extremely dishonest, low quality propaganda. But again, I don't want to just like discredit the message just because the messenger is pretty low standard. Let's just take a look at the message itself. Okay, I'm basically digging shit in order to make this video. This is just like pile of shit. And so now let's take a look at, so basically rumors suggest that there are too many urns or whatever. Actually, I read this before I make this video. It's just like, I don't think like this article actually contains anything that is useful. So, okay, he actually mentioned that, so why Wuhan residents are not saying anything? Because they are paid 3,000 yuan for hush money. Okay, so just to keep silence. But 3,000 yuan, that's really nothing. Even though in general Wuhan is not like a super rich city, but it's still a major city in Wuhan. Like a typical apartment price, I think that's easily in the realm of millions, half a million to a few million. So, I mean, like for example, like a 2-bedroom in Wuhan, 1 million, I guess. So 3,000, that's really nothing. So how many would actually take 3,000 and then keep their mouths shut? I mean, this is peanuts. Seriously, peanuts. Like $400. Anyway, so I'm from Wuhan. I don't think. I mean, yes, there are a lot of poor people in Wuhan, but I just don't think like this is the kind of money that is appropriate for a city like Wuhan. Okay, but anyway, there's no source. It's just like a rumors in this article, and then this one, okay, this one. This is actually an interview of a funeral house worker. So actually, this one contains a lot of information. This is very useful. So basically, it says that, okay, it basically says that, I think I also read this before I made this video. I'm not going to, okay, so basically I'm going to translate a few parts that I think are pretty relevant. So it says that all the male workers are in charge of moving the bodies, basically picking up bodies from people's homes. And then all the females, they are in charge of disinfection of the whole funeral house, all the cars, and also all the people. Okay, so I'm assuming all the like equipments. So essentially, I think this basically says that they have to they have extra protocol for like disinfection during this pandemic. Okay, male workers are moving bodies, females are all doing disinfection. So in some sense, this suggests that at least some of the like workforce is reallocated to doing something that doesn't need to be done in previous times. Okay, and then it basically says that they're very busy, very busy. Okay, and mm, yeah, pretty much just like describe their work situation. Overall, it's just that it's very, very busy, and they have to do a lot of disinfection. Okay, so again, I don't see any useful other useful information. Okay, so I'm going to, uh, and then this is basically the first source, and I couldn't access it. And then here's another one. So basically, the author cites citation 6 all the way to 12. That's altogether 7 blocks. And here, this one, this is basically basically says that Wuhan funeral house working 24 hours, and then someone estimates that there are 2,000 deaths, and they can't burn them all. Okay, and now let's take a look at what does it say. Okay, it says that there's a picture which says that the Wuhan funeral house are working 24 hours. Okay, so and then they included this picture. And then the picture actually here, it actually mentioned here, we provide 24-hour service. So because this is COVID-19 and COVID-19 is very contagious, so the idea is that whenever someone dies of COVID-19, they would pick up the body as early as possible. Okay, so that's why even if it's at night, they want to pick it up immediately and then burn it as early as possible. So they provide 24-hour service. Okay, so that's so this article actually contains something useful, and then according to rumor, whatever. So and now here's this guy, the guy mentioned in the title. This guy estimates that there are 2,000 deaths, but then who is this guy? This guy is actually someone. He's like he works in Japan, and then how do I translate this into English? So basically, the kind of doctor who examines dead bodies for the police, not the real doctor. Anyway, so somehow this guy knows stuff. Bullshit. Okay, bullshit. And then like take a look at the ad shown on this website. Okay, married for 5 years without children, and then there's like this master who is able to send you the son, and then there's like evil spirit that is causing trouble, and then some like a sacred lady borrowed your body, and then male female in coitus, whatever, just like stupid ass shit. I mean, whatever, just like I'm digging shit for you guys. Actually, it's for myself. Not many people watch my video. It's mainly I made this video mainly just for myself to vent. And then let's take a look at the another citation. This is actually Epoch Times. Epoch Times. Okay, Epoch actually says that so here it says we transport the bodies 24 hours a day. I think this is the key information. In my opinion, I kind of think this is the case. They are transporting the bodies 24 hours a day. Doesn't mean that they are increasing their like a workload by 6 times. Okay, I'm going to go over these citations, and then I'm going to basically talk about my analysis. So here, it actually mentions that they need additional staff. So originally they have 110 people working on this, and then now they need additional 40 to 50 additional people to keep up the workload. Okay, so that's like another 50% of the people in order to keep up the workload. They cannot increase the workload by like 6 times because the overall work process is that you have to go to someone's house to pick up the body, do the disinfection, move the body to the funeral house, and then burn the body and disinfect all the equipment, cars, whatever again, and then you go out and pick up the next body. All right, so that's the process. The bottleneck is not basically inside the funeral house. The bottleneck, in my opinion, is the number of staffs working on this, and also the travel time. And I'm going to mention why travel time is actually the bottleneck. So here's basically the author's source. According to an undercover phone call, confirmed that crematorium was using 20 furnaces to cremate bodies 24 hours a day. Okay, so I think this is the source used by the author. Okay, but then that's Epoch Times. I don't want to like go into why this is bullshit, because they are famous for attacking people when people disagree. For example, when people disagree with them. All right, and now here's the other one. So this one actually also contains a lot of useful information. So here's the thing. Okay. So where is it? Okay, I'm searching for it. Okay, so here. So Hankou Funeral House, they are in charge of taking coronavirus bodies. And this funeral house increased their costs from 9 all the way to 16. Okay. And then they are facing enormous pressure. So I think it basically says that all the COVID-19 bodies were sent to this one funeral house, and Hankou, by the way, is basically the highest, the district with the highest population density. So this funeral house is in charge of taking COVID-19 bodies, and that means actually there's another funeral house. They would actually take over the normal death in this Hankou area. So, well, I think it's mentioned in this article because just now I was reading this. I'm going to search for it. Okay, yeah. So it basically says here. So for Wuchang Funeral House, they have to take a basically they have to be responsible for all Hankou and Wuchang order service. So basically, Wuchang Funeral House would take over the normal death, not only their own basically normal death in their own area, but also the normal death of Hankou. And then the Hankou Funeral House, they are only taking care of COVID-19 cases. So, for example, I think that means basically Wuchang, all the COVID-19 bodies were also sent to Hankou Funeral House. Okay, so basically, anyway, two district, two funeral house. Now, one funeral house have to take care of all the normal deaths for both district, and the other funeral house have to take care of all the COVID-19 death for both district. Okay, so now let's take a look at the distance between these two funeral houses. That's nearly 40 kilometers. Okay, and driving, that's 1 hour one way, so 2 hours back and forth. So 2 hours back and forth, you can see. So if I need to go to pick, for example, from Hankou, go to pick up one body from Wuchang, that's 2 hours. Okay, and then they have only like 16 cars mentioned in this article. Really, there's no way they can handle 600 extra death, 680 extra death. Okay, and okay, yeah. So basically, I went over all the sources used in this so-called academic paper. So my opinion is that I'm assuming this is true. I'm also assuming this is sort of true based on that picture. The funeral houses are providing 24 hours service because they want to pick up the body as early as possible. Okay. Now, does this mean going from this to this, they are actually increasing the capacity by 6 times? Okay, so maybe one analogy is that previously your restaurant opened for dinner only. Now your restaurant opens 24 hours. Does that mean you make 6 amount of money? It's stupid. It's stupid to basically multiply by 6. The main bottleneck, so imagine, okay, so whatever business you work for, if you have a job, if you have any job like a work experience, you understand wherever you work, your boss would basically give you enough things to keep you occupied. So the funeral house in Wuhan, they have like a 100 plus employees mentioned in one of the sources. They have like a 100 workers. Trust me, these 100 workers, they are not like resting every day playing their phones. They are pretty much occupied full time. Okay. So now you are telling me these 100 workers, they need to do 6 times the pickup, and including pickup, that takes 2 hours to another district. How is that even possible? How is that even possible? Okay, you need 600 workers to produce like 6 times the workload. So I think the basically the bottleneck is not the time, but the staff. It's very difficult to hire staff, especially staff who pick up COVID-19 bodies during a pandemic. All right. So I'm going to show you my source. So this guy is a YouTuber, and he made like 3 videos before he was arrested. So I think he has like one, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. He made 4 videos, and then the 5th video is that SOS, I'm being chased by the national security folks, whatever. So he made actually only 4 videos, and he used to be like a TV host for CCTV, and then he quit his job and decided to become like a citizen journalist, and then made these 4 videos, and then got into trouble. All right, so I watched his video. His videos contains a lot of useful information. So, for example, for this one, a lot of views. This one actually he went to basically went to talk. He basically went to talk to uh, people who hire extra staff for funeral house. So I'm not going to show the video. If you're interested, you can take a look at his. So essentially, he went to the Qingshan district. That's also one of the 6, 7 districts in Wuhan. And then there's one guy who says that I'm in charge of like moving all the bodies. And right now, I have only 2 workers working for me, and I can hire basically a lot more. And then if you work for me, you can earn 1,000 yuan per day. 1,000 yuan per day. That's basically $150, something like that. And then he says that if you move the first body on the day, that's 500. Okay. So basically, it says that every day, if you do not move anybody, then you get nothing. If you move one body, you get 500 one body, and then for any extra body, that would be basically 200 for every extra body. So basically, this is basically salary for moving n bodies. Okay, that's the formula. And then it says that you can earn 1,000 per day, about 1,000 per day. So that means on a day you are moving about like 3, 4 bodies altogether. And then this guy says that he only has 2 workers working for him, and he's in charge of moving all the like basically extra bodies in Qingshan district. So that means the number is actually very small. Okay, and I'm not saying like this is absolutely true. uh, Basically this independent journalist, he went undercover and filmed his conversation with the guy who is like hiring body movers. Anyway, I'm not saying like this is 100% true. I'm just saying like this is as credible as those anonymous source cited in those blogs. Okay, it could be both garbage, it could be, I don't know, like a, at the very least, this one has video and audio, therefore has slightly higher weight to be more trustworthy in a way. So the number of extra death is actually very small based on this video. This guy has only like 2 workers. He's hiring a few more, and then every worker earns only this, and then the salary is paid according to this formula. That's just like a few extra bodies per worker. So altogether, that's like 10 extra bodies, something like that. And in one district, and there are only like 6, 7 districts in Wuhan, and there's no way you have 680 extra bodies according to this author. Okay, according to this set of sources. Anyway, so I don't think like what I did really sounds like a academic review. But anyway, this is not an academic paper anyway. So this is propaganda. So I'm going to, one last thing. I remember I also read something really stupid in this article. Okay. Uh, Yeah, I couldn't find it, but anyway, there are too many stupid points in this article. I remember the stupid point basically says that if we extrapolate the number we get in Wuhan, so he basically says that the number in Wuhan is underestimated by at least 10 times. And then if we basically multiply 10 to basically all the numbers in China, then we basically have millions of infections. That's basically uh, the author's claim, and that is also pretty stupid because, well, I don't even need to talk about this because you cannot extrapolate data or any statistics from like the epicenter to other areas where they're not even like affected much. Anyway, so in conclusion, garbage, garbage researcher writing garbage papers, citing garbage sources, and it deserves a garbage review, and that's my review. Thank you.